Oh my gosh, I am thrilled to have on the show today. You all just do not know, like this woman that we're about to get into this conversation with, like I've shared a room with this woman. and a very tiny room at that. So, I have got my college roommate. Oh my gosh, just an amazing ball of like love and light and beautiful things that God has created in this world. Annie Boyd-Ramirez, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Candace. I'm so excited and so proud of you. This is awesome. I can imagine us being in McCormick 810, sitting up late at night. So this feels very natural. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And for those of you that don't know, that was our dorm. That was our hall, McCormick Hall. You know, it's funny, and like I was telling you, Annie, because you guys were in the midst of a big giving campaign, and I was like, why haven't I had Annie on the show? I mean, you talk about amazing women, and from an entrepreneurial standpoint, oh my gosh, Annie is like changing the world. So I'm so glad that you're here. I'm very glad that you're here. You know, I'd like to jump in just sort of on your why. So like, why are you doing what you're doing today? Talk about that.
Mm-hmm. The work that we have the privilege of doing at Promovelasco really revolves around women's entrepreneurship and mental health, family support, and early childhood education. And all of those areas have impacted my life, and I really believe in the power of providing opportunities in those areas to other people, because they're just kind of gateways to building community and finding a lot of meaningful chapters of your life. And so, and they're really important. So, so that's why I am engaged in the work that I just believe in it, and know that more people need access to those services and those opportunities.
I love that, and yay, women's entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah, right? Yeah, totally.
We can scream that all day long.
Absolutely. Yeah, and like the concept of training women entrepreneurs is so key, or just providing people the opportunities to learn more about how to strengthen your business, how to scale it, all those things. And the context in which we're doing it here in El Salvador is very different, but there's so many things that all align with kind of wherever you're at. So that's cool too.
That's awesome. Did you know that this was the path that you would travel with your nonprofit organization?
Definitely not. No. I mean, I think that I always really appreciated those areas, and learning, or, psychology was my major. And so learning about early childhood education and learning about child development was really key. And then also, learning just about international development and understanding how women's empowerment is so key in terms of strengthening communities. Like all of that was happening. And I studied abroad here. The community where I worked 2 days a week, or accompanied Salvadorans 2 days a week, was one of the communities where we work now. And I think that the experience in 2005 of being welcomed into the San Ramon community and really the country, and feeling people open up and be very vulnerable about their experiences and their reality, they did it in a way that was very welcoming and also just a huge learning experience. And that just really marked me. It really stuck with me. And after graduation, I came back and was a volunteer in that same community, and for the study abroad program. And then I kind of was only supposed to be here 10 months, and then it turned into 3.5 years. But that's, the Programa Velasco started in 2007. And So I'm going a long story here, but I guess it was just a series of a lot of different moments when I kept feeling at home and called and really challenged and also needed. It was just like listening to a lot of series of that. I feel that this is important to me and I want to continue to be near it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So like some feelers, spidey senses,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so let's talk about that for a second. And what I found in my own life is kind of similar to what you're saying. Like you get these feelings that there is something that either keeps drawing you in and you're running away from it, or or it's drawing you in and you're not running, but you're just kind of like, oh, wait a second, let me explore that a little bit more. But can you just talk about how feeling has sort of impacted your journey so far? Maybe it's even the decisions that you've made in your organization or whatever.
I've been involved in a lot of self-reflection or just being in tune with a lot of discernment, where what are these feelings telling me and what do I do with them, and also or feelings, managing expectations sometimes too. I remember early on of being a volunteer and feeling that pressure of like, okay, I've got student loans, like I'm far away from my family. How can I keep this going? And so just trying to do it in small pieces, and then also feeling responsible for what we had started in 2007, of initiating Promovelasco. Before it was a nonprofit or anything like that, but just kind of feeling like, wait, we got something started here. And it really just started with trying to provide scholarships for preschool students to attend preschool. So, it was like, I don't want to let this go, or like, we've got something going. I can't let it go. And I, it's like, I got to let go of these other expectations that I have, or like, I'll get there. I'll get that health insurance eventually. I'll get that, like some of those sacrifices that had to come into play for a little while, for a long while. But yeah, so I think it's just that kind of healthy sense of angst that it's like, okay, I can't shake this.
So being in a nonprofit space, and there's a lot of people that want to jump into this space, mainly because they just feel called that there's something that, no, I just want to help people do this. And that's all I want to do. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges when it comes to raising a nonprofit, and you want this to be your be all end all, right? You may have some life realities that go on. Can you just talk about managing through that, what some of the challenges felt like, and maybe what some of the highs felt like with that?
I think one of the big challenges is just how long our nonprofit journey took to solidify. We started in 2007 and then thankfully became a legalized nonprofit in 2011. And I moved back to the States in 2010, and for about like 2.5 years I was volunteering for Promovelasco, but also trying to find a job and then also working a full-time job eventually. Those were some of the hard things, was trying to have a have a job that wasn't Promovelasco and wasn't leading that organization and wasn't dedicating a ton of time to building it. And then I remember really well when I made that kind of switch and that leap, was, it was about 5 months after my mom died, and I was helping my dad and my brother run her store. So she too was, as you know well, was an entrepreneur and ran her own business. And her death was kind of sudden, so we didn't really have a plan of what to do with her business. But so it was, and she was the business. So when it fell into our laps, it was like, oh geez, what do we do? So we kept it going, and then we liquidated everything from her store. But it was a huge pressure to have a full-time job, try and do Promovelasco. We thankfully had staff in El Salvador, but I was really responsible for a lot of the fundraising and then to grieve my mom and also try and just keep things afloat at her store. And I just was like, I remember talking to my dad late at night. We were washing dishes, and I was like, Dad, it's time. Like, I have to quit my nice stable job with health insurance and with all those perks, and like a great community of people at that job too, and like dedicate time to closing things up with my mom's store, and also just allowing myself, making that really I thought it was, now that I look back on it, it was like that was the mature choice. Like that was the like the educated guess, I guess, of like what I needed to do.
What has been through all of that, right? You guys are now up on 13 years. So through all of that, like, what has been your most exciting moment in getting your organization to this point?
I'm trying to think of one specifically, but there are a lot of moments when a participant will share with us how much their involvement and engagement with our programs have impacted their lives, of how they see life differently, and how they understand themselves differently, and how they trust themselves more to, whether it's like to run their own business or to be a parent, and kind of like more fully and more wholeheartedly, and with more confidence that they have this big community of people who are there for them and want to support them in reaching their goals, and want to connect them with the tools that they need to make the adjustments that they need in their lives. So I think that those just conversations, sometimes it's not a huge event or anything like that, but it's just like those really honest conversations that take it, it's like after 2 years or something that someone might say that to us. But that gives me a lot of energy and a lot of motivation to do my work, or to do the behind the scenes work that people don't see, or that's hard to do maybe, or that doesn't come as natural to me, or something like that.
I think it's very cool how, and I experience, so I can resonate with what you're saying, how you just get almost a renewed energy or renewed passion, like when you hear how people are affected, right? Like, what's changed for them, what's different. Sometimes it's the energy they're bringing, like the things they never thought were possible. And like, I don't know how you feel about this, but from my perspective, whenever those moments happen, I feel so grateful to God, because I feel like, okay, yeah, I am allowing myself to be used, right? Thank you for this. You know what I mean? Like, does that happen to you?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Oh, definitely. And to also know that, like, yeah, it's a lot of grace and a lot of positive, beautiful energy of the kind of working between people to inspire and really like foster the change that people are making in their lives. It's just an invitation that we are offering. People have to really trust themselves to do it, and to take that step, and to be involved in our our counseling services, or parent classes that we financially support it with another nonprofit organization, or our training programs for entrepreneurs. It's really like their spirit and God's spirit, that's moving within them to make those changes. So it's a gift and privilege to be a witness to it. Yeah, because it's really profound. So yeah, thanks. That's good.
I love it.
Yeah.
So now tell me, think about the person, Annie, right now that's listening to us talk, and they have a nonprofit that's on their heart, and they want to take a social entrepreneur route. What's the advice that you would give them? Like, what are some top things that you think they should just hold on to? Like, think about this.
Invitation to participate in self-awareness and self-care practice of some sort of way. You know, here in El Salvador, the women that we support live in marginalized communities. They experience a lot of poverty. They experience different forms of community violence, social violence, and so they've had a history of not, and just maybe just kind of from a society perspective, haven't been invited to participate in self-care, or I'm kind of thinking that that's like, okay, doing yoga and like painting your nails and taking a bath. It's like, no, para nada. Like, no, not at all. Like, it's not what self-care, like they can be, sure, for practices of self-care, but let's expand what that means and what that looks like. I remember being in graduate school and thinking like, okay, one of my self-care practices is flossing my teeth. It's like, I gotta do that. Nobody else is gonna floss my teeth. Like, what do I need to do to care for myself in ways that that are gonna benefit me in the long run? Like, you know, so that's just like one example, but it's what's gonna benefit me in the long run, and then therefore what's gonna benefit my my family, my community, and also my social entrepreneurship initiative. So that's, I really believe in that. We encourage our whole, one of our components of our training program is around personal empowerment. And so it's just, we really see that as we train entrepreneurs in business management and like understanding cost analysis, understanding budgets, and how to improve your business, it goes hand in hand with personal empowerment. So that's one thing that I would just really encourage someone to do, and it's a practice. It's an everyday kind of moment by moment thing, and it's, so it's not like you check into yoga and then you check out and you're like, have done self-care for the day. It's like, no, it's like mindfulness of like, how are you engaging with people? How are you treating them? What's moving within you? And so all those things. So that's why I say self-awareness and self-care, because sometimes the self-awareness leads you to understand what kind of self-care you need to do. So yeah, I think that's one of them.
And before you go into your next one, so just thinking about self-care for a second, and I think I've come to realize this one a little bit more, like everything you just said, because I think, whether you are a woman or not a woman, in this case, it doesn't matter as much, but especially down these entrepreneurial paths where you see a vision and you want to go after it, and where you really got passion, you're going after it, right? You're thinking about it. You're constantly coming up with things and ideas and making ways, and how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that. And I think that recognition of ourselves being such an important asset in this journey, and like the fact that we need to have our own selves sort of taken care of, our own cups filled up before we continue to pour out more, like in the way that we see for ourselves. So I'm glad you brought up self-care, because again, this is one that I've recently said, yeah, darn it, Candace, you are important.
So. Yeah, for sure, right? and maybe we're really socialized to put others first, or to, you know, put the business first, or to dig deep or not acknowledge it, or just you know, sweep it under the rug. But man, I think this day and age, it really, there's a lot to get you down. I mean, maybe it's always, but in just social media and the news, just there's so much coming at us all the time. And so if you're already totally jazzed about your passion, and then all these other kind of things that are biting at your heels to take your attention, or that you need to address too, you know, it's not going to stop unless you stop it. So unless you pause it, and you know, even just, you know, taking a breather for, you know, for a minute can really reset for me. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, great. Thanks. Yeah. And you know, maybe going along with that, from, you know, self-awareness, self-care. I don't know. I don't. This just comes to mind, but it's like, it's vulnerability of just, and I mentioned that at the beginning of something that really stuck out to me, and helped me understand more of the Salvadoran reality, and understand more of kind of the ins and outs, were people being vulnerable, just open and honest, and with trusted people. So who I guess I would invite the listeners, to kind of consider, like, who are those people that you can be vulnerable with, and let them know your difficulties, or, you know, the little wins that you have, and just trust that by doing so, that you're going to learn more about yourself. Others are going to learn more about you, and you're also going to be inviting them to be doing that. I think there's this, like, I think sometimes, like, when we're vulnerable, like, there's a sense of liberation, or there's a sense of freedom of, like, you can, like, let things go, because as an entrepreneur, as you're a leader, so you kind of have to have it all together for others. But, like, you know, with your trusted group, like, who can you let your guard down with? Who can you be really honest with? Who can you share your struggles with? Because that will just, I'm trying to articulate it, and I'll get there, but it's always been a part of my, just example, like, people who I've learned a lot from have been very vulnerable in telling me their story, and I think that has helped me, like, their openness has helped me to be more open, or just to own more of my, you know, myself, that you can be vulnerable with. And then I guess lastly, it's like, build that community, you know, nourish that community, because this is a long haul. I mean, you know, whether I think I'm thinking of my mom's store. I'm thinking of her business. Like, she thankfully had that for 18 years, and it kind of, you know, like, that's where we hung out with people. And that's where, like, people came to her store, people might not have gone to her home, but they certainly, like, they know the store, they went to the store. And I'm thinking of Promovelasco too, just like, wow, like we couldn't have, it couldn't have been what it was, and Promovelasco couldn't be what it is without a community of people who also believe in the work and the mission and the change and the impact that you're, you know, trying to create. And you know, it's not just about us, but it's also, it's about, you know, you want it to bring about awareness. You want more people to understand what is going on. So you need this community. So And they want it. People, you know, I'm really very humbled and just very touched and heartened by the community of people who appreciate what Promovelasco is trying to do, and so they give us a lot of energy too. So I think it's in our best interest to like form that community, because like it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, I love that. And your whole who can you trust thing is that is a big one. And you know, you combine that with your thoughts about being in for the long haul. Right? I think,
ma'am, right?
Right. Yeah. And sometimes I think that is, I know for me, earlier on, and sometimes even now, honestly, I let that fall away. Right? Sometimes this is the long haul. Wait a second, take a breath. there's more road on the runway, but having those people that can keep you straight, whether it's a husband in my case, but whoever it is, right, that just sort of keeps you honest, and then that community. I love that, Annie. I think that's really sounds nice.
Oh, cool. I hope so. Thanks.
So for everybody that's listening right now, listening or watching, you know, if they're thinking, how do I connect with this Annie lady? I want to learn more about her or more about Programa Velasco. How can they learn more?
Thanks. I would love for people to learn more about Promovelasco. So promovelasco.org. So program with an A at the end, Velasco, VELASCO.org. You know, find us on social media too. My email is just really simple, Annie@promovelasco.org. So just please reach out, and yeah, I'd be happy to talk more. I mean, I'm really honored to be one of your guests, Candace. And, you know, I think sometimes I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs kind of talk about like imposterism, or like feeling like you're an imposter, feeling like you're kind of like not as good to share your story or share your voice. And I certainly, that negative voice can repeat itself often in my head, and I really appreciate you, Candace, inviting me to speak. And so I guess I would also say to your listeners too, like you got it going on. Like don't listen to those negative thoughts either, and you know, reach out to Candace. It's good. You're fantastic. Like you are. I'm cheering up of how fantastic Candace is. So reach out to Candace. Thank you for considering to reach out to me, is what I wanted to also say too. So, but yeah, just thanks.
Oh, and I did not pay Annie to say any of that. So
I
did not pay Annie to say any of that. But I'm so grateful that you can be on. I wish that, you know, the people who are listening or watching can just recognize how much this lady on the screen, or her voice that you hear, she literally is like a soul sister, even though we don't talk all the time. She is a gift from God. And I will tell you, when you find people in your lives who are like that, and who share your ideals, and, you know, are about being in the world to help serve and impact others, you hold on to them, you keep them tight. And so I'm thankful that you are here and you got it going on. And for everybody that is either watching or listening, I hope that you have taken something from what you heard out of Annie today, because there are a lot of nuggets there, especially about ourselves, like, and even some of the softer things that we need to think about on our journey. So take this and take action. You know what I always say. I hope you have a great day, a great evening, whenever you're listening or watching, and I'll talk to you again very, very soon.